For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to episode 120 of That's a Shame. It's something of a special.
Yeah, it's a kind of pilot of a special, a trial special, if you will, because lest we
think
forget,
you might hate it.
Yeah, and look, we might as well. But here we are. We're in, what week is it, Declan?
It's the week beginning the 19th.
You're right, and that's important because...
we're coming up to payday.
Well, some of us aren't, so thanks for rubbing that in.
Okay.
Cast your mind back through history. I know you're quite the historian, aren't you?
Yeah.
In your time.
Yep.
Cast your mind back. The year was, it was ages ago.
Well, the 19th is 2 weeks after Bonfire Night.
Oh, yeah. And it was after Bonfire Night. Everyone was so inspired by all those fireworks underneath the Parliament that actually didn't happen, that they sailed.
They killed a bunch of foreigners.
Yes, on the Mayflower. They drove the boat straight onto the land and ran them down.
It seemed that in the past, almost anything was an excuse to go somewhere and kill some foreigners, wasn't it?
It was one of those things like, you know, where there's an atmosphere in the room, like everyone's waiting for someone to stand up and be like, right,
it reminds me
I'm
of like going to Willow.
You just wait for the dam to break.
Yeah, and you're just like, Willow? Yeah, right.
Everyone's just waiting for someone to be
And when you get there, you make the most of it.
should we go and colonise? And I was thinking that
come
well,
on,
mate.
let's fucking
Let's
hop
go
on the
for it.
ship.
Got any smallpox? Don't be forgetting the
drag it
smallpox.
across the oceans.
Come on, pilgrims. Yeah, so it's Thanksgiving. And not ones to pass up on an opportunity for shame and celebration.
And to shamelessly cash in on a celebration based on slaughter.
That's what I meant. We have jumped aboard our own kind of digital Mayflower with an episode that I think we're going to be calling Shamksgiving. Shamksgiving.
I don't like that you've put a P in there. Why have you put a P in there?
Well, it's to evoke a kind of champagne.
What's a champ?
It's like champagne socialism.
But are you spelling it with a C?
No. Don't ask me too many questions. The name is still in workshopping phase, so if you've got a better idea, now's the time.
I'm happy with it so long as this P is gone.
Shamksgiving? So it's like, I've been shanked. There's a lamb's shank.
Shamksgiving.
Yeah, it's not too fun to say the sk bit though.
No, but...
that's why I was trying to soften it with another consonant.
Yeah, but the
Shant.
P was a poor...
Shanksgiving.
A shant sounds like a slur.
A sea shant. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
We'll come up with something.
You'll already know what it's called, of course.
Yeah.
So this one, normally, much to Paul's dismay as a librarian, that's Shy Yeti Paul, our specials fall outside of the numbering schema that otherwise keeps this show as ordered numerically as it is content-wise. But this one, I think we're going to keep it as 120 because, like we say, it's a trial, it's a test.
And given the nature of the feature, there's a good 80% chance it will never make it to air.
Oh, heavily edited if it does, hey. So, yeah, we thought we'd take this opportunity. We've been kicking around this ball of ideas for, 25, 30 minutes at least at this coming up to 3 a.m. juncture that we find ourselves in almost every week.
Isaac did a thing that he does sometimes where we were brainstorming in here and then he just said, okay, I'm going away. And he just left the room for a bit and then came back in. He'd given up on the previous idea and had come up with a new one.
Yeah.
But in a way that makes it feel like he definitely went out and stole it from somewhere else.
I didn't. I went out to go to the reflection zone, the altered state.
Yeah.
It's sort of adjacent to the reflection zone.
Your podcast feed.
It's where I look at myself right in the mirror until the eyes go all wide, like you're on.
And is that
ayahuasca.
the altered state, or is it?
Well, you can start to see the
adjunct?
altered state through the
It
pupils.
just comes in into the peripheries.
Until the pupils take up the whole face, and that's when you know you've gone too far, for sure. So we were planning, we were thinking, brainstorming, if you will, thought showering upon different ways that we, as a top Mount Privolo citizens that we are, could demonstrate, ruminate upon, reflect upon as well, the thanks that we have to give in our lives for the many benefits that, let's be honest, Jesus Christ has afforded us.
Oh, yeah.
And we had, well, what was our original idea? It was going to be based on the Yes No Tarot Ask Spirits game.
Yeah.
We were going to come up with some kind of fibbage call my bluff-esque, like, which of these three things
Am I thankful for?
But then I realised couldn't be bothered to think of
And it would
15
last
things.
10 minutes tops.
So we moved on to a version 2. Still, like I say, in the prototyping phase. We don't have a name for it. Maybe we should call it...
I'm going to say, because it's similar to another, like, more famous game, I think it's...
not a rip-off of, though. Just let me jump in there.
It should be called Thanks the Unthanksable.
Oh, okay. The Unthankables, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay.
Because it's similar to a game played on a radio show that I used to listen to a lot. And the game is Defend the Indefensible, in which we've played like similar versions of it before here, I think, on the show maybe. But
we did that one
on radio.
It was like film things.
Yeah,
You remember.
But this one is more like you're given a topic that you definitely don't believe, and you have to 100% throw your weight behind
And is
it. So it's great.
are the points given for like rhetoric
and commitment?
Yeah, that's
It was famously on used on a radio show called Fighting Talk, which is like a sports game show on the radio that was played every Saturday morning that Colin Murray hosted, and it was famously walked out of the game by a boxing commentator called Steve Bunce, who was asked to defend the line that boxing is the gayest sport.
and he left.
He just quit. He was like, I'm not doing it.
Boxing folk quite homophobic.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what
they
I've
are.
noticed,
Yeah, but you'd have to be, because it's a very homoerotic sport.
So you
they
think
do all
they
that
have
face
to-
to face.
They do that thing like must have seen clips of like a boxer trying to psych another one out by kissing him.
Yeah,
And one of them gets so angry and like punches himself in one clip that I saw out of sheer repressed homosexuality.
they always but they're topless. They cling to each other in the ring.
God, they do, don't they?
No, they're all fucking.
They love it. Muhammad Ali, let me tell you, before he went,
Queer as folk.
if anyone from the Ali estate is listening, that's Declan at shame.city. You can direct any legal threats to. So we have got cups. That's always a good sign for some That's a Shame content. 2 cups here. These are plastic cups that I've had in my life since probably the age of about 7, and it's good that we're not going to sully them with anything, overtly negative, because we had to set some ground rules on the indefensible.
I think that we pretty much just fucked those to the wind.
Well, but I think we set ground rules that were stricter than we knew we did here. In the hope that we wouldn't end up with things
exactly
such as I won't list.
Essentially, we have written for one another 5 things for which they must claim to be thankful and explain the origin and indeed the extent. Obviously very large, of their thanks.
And I presume there's going to be an element of like interrogative.
Questioning, definitely. Just to get to the core.
Because it's going to be important both for us as introspective folk and for the listeners to get to that kernel of what really are you thankful for. Because you might say, I'm thankful for, all the good films that there are, but really that's a crying out for connection.
Yeah.
And in the same way, I'm sure that each of these 5 that we've not so much chosen for the other as revealed based on our understanding of their lives to be true, I think each of them is going to be a window into the other's soul.
Yeah.
I think you confirm that with what you've written?
I think it should just give a nice broad overview.
That's really good to know. So it only remains for us to solidify the template for delivery. I propose something about your name, in the year of our Lord 2018, I'm thankful for, and then you say the thing.
Yeah, so
you go first.
I, Declan
This is the sound of him
Delane,
shaking his paper.
in the year of our Lord 2018, I'm thankful for...
Now Declan has to unwrap mine like a Christmas present because I just scrunched all the paper up.
The unkempt facial hair of the elderly! Exclamation point.
Right, that's interesting. So that's quite a specific thing to be thankful for. And at the same time, very broad, because you've not said like one elderly person in particular.
No,
Is this a trend you've
all
noticed?
of the elderly,
Right.
There's an interesting facet where unkempt is one of those dispensable adjectives. I think when we say the facial hair of the elderly, we can broadly accept that it will and
unkempt.
must be unkempt.
Yeah, because they get to the stage, don't they, the elderly, where they don't give a fuck.
I think I would be more specific than this, specifically elderly women.
Oh, I think you should include men and non-binary elderlies.
Obviously.
Ever met a
of
non-binary
course.
OAP?
Not that I knew of.
Yeah, not that I knew of
but
either.
they could have just been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe I just couldn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we find it's particularly unique hair, the facial hair of the elderly.
Yeah.
Wiry.
Yeah. Stubborn.
Thick.
Yes. Well, it's thick because it matches their contribution to the tax bracket.
Yeah.
And the winter fuel allowance.
And the ongoing xenophobia of the nation.
Yeah, exactly. Like the facial hair has to kind of stand for all of that.
It's unique as well in the places, and I should probably say patches in which it grows.
Suggesting that it's not a kind of uniform affair.
No, very, very rarely. I mean, obviously there will be your bog standard old man who's still got a beard.
Yeah.
But we're not really talking about him. Like, obviously I admire that and I'm thankful for it. But
well, why is that though?
I feel like it's cheating.
Don't be glib, because why are you
I feel like
for an old man
I feel like it's not very specific because they just happen to continue to have.
But so why are you so thankful for it?
I'm still thankful for it in the general sense that I think that it's well, he could be a veteran.
He almost certainly is if he's a very old man.
Yeah, or definitely. But I think that
lions led by donkeys.
More that it's the thankfulness that he's covering up his horrible, ugly, wrinkled skin.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's a kind of elderly disguise.
Yes, exactly.
It's not that he's trying to hide from you how old he is. It's just that he's saying, I know I've got to the stage of grossness.
Physical grotesquerie.
And I'm going to keep as much of that kind of under this full, probably glistening, snowy beard.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the double-edged sword here, because that's one half of my thankfulness for the unkempt facial hair of the elderly. The other half is almost quite the opposite. I'm thankful for their very stark and brazen refusal to have even a passing care for my disgust.
That's good. Yeah.
At them.
It's quite admirable.
Yeah, and it lets you know straight off the bat that they will not give a fuck.
They're ready to
about
die.
Anything.
They're basically
are
on
dead.
their knees in front of the Reaper saying, Daddy, take me to the dark place. Am I right?
I feel like you've got some wires crossed there, but the image is a visceral one.
Yeah.
It just it's like people who will let you know straight off the bat, like I'm a Tory, but I'm I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm socially liberal.
Yeah. Like, the gays, they can do what they want.
Yeah.
Like, what I say is,
as long as they've got a job.
What goes on between two consenting adults, like, it's none of my business, none of the state's business.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tax breaks, they need to be larger.
So it, like, those people very kindly let you know straight off the bat, okay, you're horrid.
You're a horrid idiot.
The elderly with their unkempt facial hair, thankfully, let you know immediately that they are going to smell.
Okay. And that they're the backbone of the country, and that we kind of have to follow their lead, I suppose, politically and socially.
Almost the opposite.
In
fact, exactly
Talk to me about that. Go on.
Well, it lets you know that they're probably the sort of person who just happened to find a house.
For £1.50.
No, for free, probably.
For free, okay.
It was just there.
Maybe after they fell out of free university education.
Could have been after free university education. It could have been.
And then they've chosen to pay
well, there was a strong jobs market as well.
Very good.
So they were employed their whole lives.
They're white, are they, in your conception?
Well, predominantly, of course. But, we live in London.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a very white
pension.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Pension bracket.
So I think they maybe have forgotten that time happened. They're now very old and things are very different.
Yeah.
And that actually the so-called lazy, millennial generation are working more hours than ever before for even less money to buy more expensive things.
That's a good reason to be thankful.
And so they've got all that ugly hair to show me.
That's really good. Well, thank you for that.
That's all right.
Maybe a little applause. And I think after each one we should toast.
Just a little.
We should say Shamksgiving and toast like that. Ready?
I'm just going to let you say it.
Okay. I, Isaac BD, in the year of our Lord 2018, am thankful for the continued prolific, that's my parenthesis, funding of the Madeleine McCann investigation. And there is an asterisk I should have mentioned as well, the ultimately meaningless Madeleine McCann investigation. Yeah. And that's pretty much been my position for the full 11 years.
We went back through our chats, like our Facebook chats, and any kind of mentions on the podcast. They're very pro.
I've got a very consistent outlook, which is more money, more Maddie. And in fact, that's been a motto of mine.
And we're holding out for that
since back in the day. And what I like, I suppose, about it is that it's emblematic for me of the amount of care, of resources, of social energy, and of this relentless pursuit of justice that the UK and our blessed government has for any white middle class child that goes missing. And I think
they give they give that much money to all the investigations going on.
Absolutely. Not all of them, because some of them are kind of like dud kids. And they weren't necessarily on holiday in the Algarve region or wherever it was.
No, but it's still unfortunate to go missing.
Oh God,
and
absolutely.
It could have happened to anyone's kids. It wasn't like
anyone who kind of drugged and left their kids in a room.
But it was they were probably supervised by
each other. So it's
but one of them,
when
one of the kids was like 17.
4. But they say 4
is the new 17.
Very grown up. When you're 4, I think you are legally allowed to look after twin babies. I think that's been kind of proven by case law.
But they had to leave.
They had to go. It was an important social dinner, and I think there were 12 of them or something. There were a whole bunch of people going. So you can't if you're Kate McCann, you can't be seen to be deferring to the whims of spoiled children.
But they were checking back all the time, weren't they? It was like every 5 minutes or so. They were just...
pretty much constantly. Like every few hours. Yeah. Sometimes every other evening.
And it's good that, even in light of such travesty, such a real...
it's horrible.
Yeah, very, very horrid. They've handled it with a lot of dignity.
Straight
and grace.
From the start.
Neither of them has attempted in any way to capitalise financially
you wouldn't
on that. They haven't sought the limelight.
No,
they haven't placed their kid.
And sorry, let me just interrupt you, because this is I'm kind of getting the sense that you're a bit of what we call a McCann skeptic in the Maddie community, the Mad immunity,
right?
That I'm a part of. This accusation towards Kate in particular, that she sought out the limelight, I think you'll find is her sacrificing her public image, because she knows people are going to think, oh look, it's that Kate McCann again,
writing 2 books about it.
Yeah, what she's doing is she's keeping it in the front of our kind of public national debate, because without that we'd have forgotten.
Yeah, and because it's helped to find her.
Exactly, we've never been closer, or in another sense, as far
as humanly possible.
That Kate, probably.
So you don't think they're guilty?
No one does.
Or complicit?
I mean, I've never met anyone who would think that.
No.
There was blood in their car, but there's blood there's blood everywhere.
Everyone's car.
I've heard if you shine a UV light.
If you shine a UV light on my car.
There's fluid of all kinds seeping out of the walls of any RAV4 you care to mention.
So it's good that they've given... it's about 100,000 in total.
Well,
the 11
we
years
read that
now,
statistic, very weirdly worded statistic the other day, that was that the amount of funding given to the investigation of Maddie, which all the Portuguese police have basically stopped getting involved in because they said there was so much obstruction, and a bunch of them were like, well, we're pretty sure that the parents did it. Heathens, of course.
Oh, I get
And that just, that's why I've been very sceptical about ever closer ties with the European Union and the kind of continent as a whole. But that's another story for sure. But if that amount of money had gone into like schooling, we read that it would have been enough to finance a school for 12,000 children, just like no school has for a couple of years.
I read a more damning statistic about a similar topic the other day. It was a tweet that said there was an article celebrating the fact that Children in Need has now raised £1 billion. I think it was for children.
That's loads.
Charities. But someone shared it saying, if ever you needed affirming that taxes are a much better way to raise money than charity, then you should know that it has taken Children in Need 38 years to raise enough money to run or to fund the child services bill in this country for a month and a half.
Wow. That's a shame, isn't it?
It's like insane.
Yeah, that's quite grim. Unlike, of course, and I must reiterate my thanks to all those involved in signing off ever more funding for the investigation. Let's cheers on that. Shamksgiving.
I'd just like to say as well
that
I apologise for using the phrase. I apologise for any connotations, and I wholeheartedly distance myself from the phrase 4 is the new 17.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, just wanted to get that out there.
That's really good of you. I'm thankful for that. Declan
Delane.
Okay, you're doing a little announcement.
In the year of our Lord 2018.
That's this one.
I'm thankful for...
Is it the lighting state in here that means it's impossible to read?
It's The Art of the Deal.
Oh, okay. Is that the...
Now, some may think that I mean specifically the book.
I did think that,
Donald Trump's, definitely written by him, best-selling book about the art of the deal called The Art of the Deal.
Is it about a deal in particular?
No, it's The Deal.
Right.
You've got the wrong article there.
Okay.
But I'm actually thankful more generally, rather, for the very art of the deal itself. And what you see in the Trump presidency, as opposed to all of the former presidents, and indeed any other
world... Obama speaks for itself.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
And of course, any other world leader throughout history, is that they haven't approached the task of governance with enough business savvy.
Very much lacking, I can agree.
And that's why Donald Trump's administration has made more money and spent less money and has secured a much safer and more respected place on the world stage for America than it's ever had before.
Are we going to put any sources for that in our show notes?
I think people can see it for themselves, really.
True. Unless they're probably beta soy boy cuck.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Then obviously they'll be blinkered by that presumable lack of just the meat fibers.
If they're just a bunch of fucking libtards, then what can we do to help them?
Itself, for sure.
Let's just take, in a passing instance, the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Okay, yeah.
Because
I don't know about you, but just to jump in, I mean, obviously we're glad that we're thankful for that.
No, we're not thankful for that.
Oh,
because it was a heinous and abominable murder.
But he was enemy of the people.
Well, not any people that I know of.
I thought it was all the American people to whom the media.
Oh, the media in general, yeah.
It's kind of deep state.
But he wasn't specifically him.
He'd worked for the Washington Post.
Yeah.
So that's pretty. But Jeff Bezos. He's all over that.
Yeah, and so
that rag.
So obviously he had to go.
Yeah. Well, naturally, I'm agree.
And the Saudis, they were like, we'll take one for the team.
No worries, over to us.
Don't worry, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And then
so well executed.
And there was that
in the literal sense.
And there was that tape. There's that tape, of course, of the murder, which Donald himself referred to as very violent, very vicious,
and
terrible.
Good.
He didn't. That's what he heard about it. He was actually too much of a pussy to listen himself.
He was
he was sorry. He was
that's
too busy
classic.
to listen.
Sorry. ignorance, because as a businessman, you've got to. There's so much data coming in.
I'm not a master of the art of the deal. I'm
I'm a kind of
novice.
apprentice of the deal.
Yeah.
An apprentice,
like it's
of
a deity. But what he has bravely done since then, that no other president would have been brave enough to do, is say, "Don't worry about it."
That's because it's the strategy.
And he was like, "We you know, sometimes in business, people, you've got to play dirty, haven't you?"
Well, it's not even that for me. I don't know if you remember. The year was, I think it was 1928 or something. Steve Jobs came out for a keynote. It all seemed kind of run of the mill. Oh, we've got a new Mac. Oh, we've got a new mouse. Wow, it's great. And then he said these immortal words and one more thing. And then he announced, you remember the iPhone?
Oh, yeah.
Blew apart the modern technological landscape.
Of course.
And the key there, and I think what Trump has probably taught Steve, I don't quite know the lineage there.
No.
Because he's older, isn't he? I mean, especially because Steve Jobs is dead, so everyone's older than him in a way. It's blindsiding people with what they least expect. And everyone expects the office of American president to be like, well, I condemn the killing of a US resident journalist
citizen,
just flat out by a foreign authority in another foreign country
who kidnapped him and took him somewhere, and they, what did they do? String him up and beat him and
all sorts. Yeah, they had all manner of tools at their disposal. But what he does is he thinks, well, what's going to keep the markets guessing? What's going to keep them afloat? Keep the interest churning?
What's going to really make people not necessarily agree with, but respect the office of president?
Someone to be like, wow, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have had the balls to support that murder.
He's brave enough to go out into the world and say of people whose business ties he is dependent, it's fine that they murdered someone in cold blood.
And to that,
the bravest thing of all.
Shamksgiving.
I'm very thankful.
Yeah, really good. Okay, well, Isaac Bernier Doyle, in the year of our Lord 2018, I'm thankful for, at last, I mean, talk about overdue, Stan Lee's much belated death. Stan, like, the amount of cameos that man has dared to film, ruining franchises as broad as, not only cinema, but I was in Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. There's a ride there.
And he dared to visit.
It's called the Big Spider-Man ride.
Okay.
It's a really cool mix of like physical motion and then these giant screens that make you kind of unsure if you're moving and which parts are simulated. And it's a story that unfolds about the Spider-Man, his relationship with Dr. Octopus, which I think is deeply sexual at its core. And all of a sudden, you're enjoying...
All you have to do is see Alfred Molina in those claws, and you think...
me, yeah. Slow down there, Pete.
Horny on the TL.
Absolutely. And you're immersed in this whole world, and then all of a sudden, a fucking truck comes at you, and the camera just lingers. Your ride vehicle might as well have come to a stop, and a big spotlight just shone on the old, haggard, talentless face of comics' greatest villain, Stanley Lee. His name is just Stanley something, isn't it? And he changed it to Stanley. I mean, too cowardly to even put his name on his own product. I'm thankful that it's happened. I guess I'm disappointed that it was, with the amount of adulation that it was, because I saw people coming out of the woodwork to fall over in bending and scraping obsequious praise.
Do you see no merit to anything he ever did?
Thank you for asking. Correct. I see no merit to anything that he ever...
Do you not feel that at the very least, by inventing the Spider-Man, that he has given you not just some films that I know that you enjoy,
right,
but also a great point of reference at any time you get bitten by an insect, such as you have been recently?
Well, this is the thing, and this is perhaps what brought my I'll admit offbeat attitude to a head.
Are you saying that he sold you a false dream?
Well, both that and the fact that spiders wouldn't be biting people if they didn't think, they hadn't been propagandized into thinking that we were going to be swinging around.
Oh, was
for
that the
joy.
first spider bite?
Absolutely, on record.
Oh, no.
He invented the concept of venomous creatures somehow conveying magical science powers upon losers. And spiders to this day have the gall, dim-witted little creepy fucks that they are, to keep it going.
I know, and most of them aren't even at all radioactive, and they think that their bite's going to do anything but make you limp for a
fucking
week.
rate themselves. I tell you what. The arachnid deviants. So yeah, it's all good, really.
Oh, wow.
Shamksgiving.
Right.
How about you?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I, Declan Delane, in the year of our Lord 2018, am incredibly thankful
Oh, incredibly.
for the hot, damp breath of a right behind you geography teacher.
Oh, okay. Well, no questions. Talk to me about that. Talk me through.
Well, one of the things I'm thankful for is the interesting grammatical structure of the sentence, in that it's the definite article hot, damp breath
Yeah.
of a indefinite article.
Well, that's...
right behind you geography teacher.
I assume what you're suggesting with that, thanks, is that all geography teachers are kind of united by this right behind you hot damp
by a
breath
single
that they share.
breath. That
Like a
they
hive
share.
mind, but for the lungs.
The thing about geography teachers is that they are all,
Disproportionately
pervs.
sex offenders.
I'm afraid to
Phew.
say. And those that aren't
Want to be?
have such cripplingly odd personalities, such as to be tantamount to a sexual deviant.
It's like they're a few skipping stones away from tipping over the edge.
I don't know if it's probably a conflation of the two, that learning the water cycle so many times and they're then teaching it so
Turns
many
you
times
into it.
will send you mad, but also that you have to be slightly mad to be willing to put yourself through that in the first, because it's the one thing you can say for geography is that it's very upfront as a subject that this is all you'll be doing for the next
It's the most
decade
self-limiting
and a
subject.
half of your life.
We're talking about like secondary school.
year three primary school, they teach you the water cycle.
Yeah.
And you know, I've had pals do A-level geography. I know someone who did a degree in geography. I don't understand
about
it, but still there.
It's
got a bit
all
of
comes back
it's
to the
got to
water
find
cycle.
its way in. It's insidious like that.
It's pretty important stuff, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think there is
I had
no subject with less to say to the under 16 demographic than geography. Because, like you say, even in year 11, we were still just colouring the water blue.
Yeah,
And that was like it.
there's a section of geography, like human geography is very interesting, and the way in which it relates to like politics, but
And
that's
the
always done in like a half breath.
Yeah, because they know that it's actually the remit of history or politics. That they're just like sneaking into the fucking temple.
I've always found that geography teachers are exceptionally knowledgeable.
Yeah, me too.
But almost pointlessly so. It's
Because
like
none
a
of it's
futility.
subject relevant. It's a curse.
I did have a geography teacher that I liked. He was a bastard.
How was the breath?
I'll get to that.
Okay,
Don't
good.
worry. But I remember, I think I might have mentioned it on the show before, but I enjoy the story. I had an article to write about, is the Akosombo Dam good for Ghana?
Right.
I remember the title perfectly because it was the only thing we did for about a whole year. And we discussed all these various pros and cons in class for months.
Go on,
and then we
what's
had
the
to
con
write
of
a
the
little.
dam?
In order to build it, a lot of people had to leave their homes.
Oh, okay.
So it came to the actual writing of it, and I cannot remember what the point was, but I came up with this point all by myself that I was very, very proud of. And it was quite a lengthy paragraph. Anyway, I was ill the day we were supposed to hand them in. So the next week I went in, he handed everyone else's out, and I took mine up to him while everyone was doing a task. And I was like, look, sorry, here's mine. I wasn't here last week. And he was like, oh, I'll just mark it now for you. So I watched him go through, ticking.
Nice.
Like, yeah.
That's a good sign.
Good. Then he got to this paragraph that I had written myself, and he read through the whole thing, and then at the end just wrote, no. While I stood there and watched.
Fuck.
No. The breath element.
Yeah.
He was one of 3 geography teachers at secondary school that I ever had.
Wow, we only had
Of
the
4
one
that
in the
I met.
whole school.
Oh, wow. No, we had quite the geography department.
A whole little like team of jogs. Cool.
Jogs.
Jogs, yeah.
Okay.
Work with it.
And I can confirm that the breath was consistently
Yeah.
both hot and damp.
And where kind of relative to you?
Right
spatially?
behind you.
Ah, interesting.
Always in that kind of like leaning, peering,
Yeah.
freak on the tube, trying to look at your crossword.
I think they're always
kind of
quite
sense.
tall, a geography teacher,
They
because
tend to
they
be,
are
yeah.
straining to see up the mountains to know what it's like up there.
Yeah, and it gives them a sense of how the weather changes
Yeah.
the higher up you go.
They can spit and explain the water cycle.
They can spit further than any other form of teacher.
That's how they
any
get
other
a job,
species
for
of
sure.
teacher.
That's what I've always known to be
but
true.
I'm thankful for it because it always reassured you
Uh-huh.
that if ever you were in the presence of a paedophile outside of the geography classroom, you'd be able to instantly identify them by the same hot, damp breath.
Or maybe in the same way as like a dog pisses against the tree, the hot damp breath from your geography teacher would signal, it would act as a beacon to the others to
Like,
stay the fuck away.
Back off, this is one of
my
mine.
turf,
yeah. But then, of course, you do have to worry that maybe it was the opposite and it was like a mark, like a target on the back of my head.
Well,
either way, I'm thankful for it.
Shamksgiving. Isaac Bernier Doyle, I'll tell you what I'm thankful for as I unravel it now. And it's in the year of our Lord 2018, by the way. It's Disney's decision to cast my favourite actor. It's written there, but it's also my opinion, which is helpful. Lin-Manuel Miranda as the unlovable idiot Bert in we're talking about Mary Poppins Returns now.
Well, you are, yeah.
So let's kind of go backwards through this, because you probably have some questions about the unlovable adjective I've chosen for Bert.
Well, I have, because I remember him, as I think many of our listeners will also, as perhaps the kindliest and most lovable character in the original film. And so it's interesting that you should be thankful, that what's it, your favourite actor, Lin-Manuel Miranda, was cast in that role.
It's more
and
than
also
an actor.
that,
It's more than
that
an
you now
actor.
consider him unlovable.
Yeah, well, it's not just now. It's kind of been fostering for a while.
He's not an ex-geography teacher.
Well, put it this way. I found out today that he had to pay $4,000
Oh, yeah.
to play the role of the banker in the original Mary Poppins.
I saw that earlier as well.
And all I'm saying is there's only going to be one reason why an already very famous actor would have to pay his way back into the film he was already in. And that's if he was, let's not be too blunt, let's not beat around the bush, diddling everyone and everything in sight. And
who was that? Who was doing the...
That was Bert. I forget the name of the actor, so that's unfortunate.
But you're certain that whoever he was...
what I've read
He was what?
would suggest
he was
that the long legs of crime were snookling round every underage door frame in sight. Unlovable, I suppose.
Don't go.
It puts a whole other.
sleep.
It's a jolly holiday with Mary. I guess Bert's ability in the film to just kind of engage with strange children that he doesn't know, that's well practiced.
Often
And
in blackface.
That should be sounding alarm bells. Anyone who's that ready to just take random kids on an adventure, that's a problem. Like, you need to investigate that. Maybe there's an innocent explanation. Maybe he works in a nursery. Maybe he volunteers at an orphanage. But none of those are the case. We know Bert to be, at his core, a con man who switches and flits between careers like a mayfly gadding between different
His
objects.
tax return is the biggest mess.
What, where he's got like three entries for one man
street
band.
performer,
Chalkist. Magical bowler hat wearing striped penguin
jockey.
freak. Cartoon jockey, yeah. He's a confusing presence, and I think that he sets up a dynamic where the children are forced to confront the fact that he's everything their dad isn't. And that's just not right, because Mr. Banks is out there. he's working, he's grueling to put bread on that table. All the while, a ship's captain blasting off fire hazards.
Well, of course.
Just to the left of the house. And Dick Van Dyke swans in. He's a bit like, I guess, the stereotype in films of like when there's a divorce and usually it's the mum's cool new boyfriend who like, oh, I don't know, he's a DJ or something. And the kid's like, wow, Dad, my mum, like mum's new boyfriend, Bob, he takes us out in his convertible. And the dad's like driving his tractor or his one of those like hand carts that you pull up and down to go in a mine in the past to take them to school at like 6 a.m. And he just, there's no need for Bert to be that confrontational in the comparison that he draws. Lin-Manuel, therefore, I mean, we could go for hours about how he stands in stark contrast to that, but I think his work and legacy will speak for itself. The decision to cast him, it struck me initially as odd and as...
How's the accent work?
Well, it's ongoing, and that's Lin's great strength, is that he...
The film's not completed yet.
Well, they've got these reshoots and stuff that they can do these days.
Yeah.
ADR, like they can
Right.
dialogue right down until I think like the day before it comes out. It's fine to change quite major elements of the film. That's just the way, the kind of agile filmmaking of today.
I was just making sure, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. Lin is very, very candid about the fact that he's not a finished product, and I think that's something that Dick never was. Even the name, this is Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, you do remember...
Yeah, no, it just
who it was,
came
who
to me
was...
now. I don't remember what else we might
diddling?
have said
Was it?
about him before. Yeah, that all like remains to be seen. This is all speculation.
So you, Isaac BD
you what?
of Colindale, London, you're thankful.
I'm thankful for all of the good things that Lynn and Dick and everyone have done. Shamksgiving.
Oh,
Right, only two more.
I know. I've got a small one at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, I, Declan Delane, in the year of our Lord 2018, am thankful for...
Oh, go on. What could it be?
Safe spaces for penitent perverts.
Oh, penitent. Okay.
Yeah.
So safe space is like that's a term that fills me with immediate. It triggers me, I suppose you'd say.
Oh.
I watch a lot of Ben Shapiro, a lot of Alex Jones content, and what I've learnt from the kind of altar of wisdom at which they sit and teach and really inform a generation is that safe spaces, this is kind of where the libs go when we've owned them. So already that term being affixed to your statement of thanks, it's giving me all kinds of bad vibes.
That's understandable.
No, thank you. That means a lot to me.
But, I mean, I also find it ironic.
Okay.
In that you admit that you were triggered.
Right. What are you trying to say? You're not...
I'm trying to say that it feels like you could do with your own safe space.
I don't need a safe
It feels
space.
like, because you're always accusing the libs of being triggered.
Uh-huh. Well, they are. Because they're snowflakes.
But it feels like you are just as easily...
I've never been
if
triggered.
not more easily.
No.
So you're all right with safe spaces?
Well, no, because that's bad.
Oh,
But
why?
I'm not triggered by them. I'm repulsed. So that's a very kind of manly.
Right.
Like I will punch.
You're an alpha.
Yeah,
You're an alpha,
pretty
that's
much. That's what I've seen.
One of the things that I'm thankful for is the alliteration. It's good branding.
It's a bit like a kind of J.K. Rowling novel that never was.
Yeah, if it was just protection for pedos, there's still the alliteration, but it doesn't quite have the same rhetoric to it.
No, and also
there's not quite a ring. And if it was just
problematic,
if it was just comfy home for child sex offenders.
Well, see, I don't know where you're getting this child element from, because a pervert is a very broad group of individuals.
I'm just saying that often it's used to imply that about someone, and therefore
can be disparaging.
Therefore, if we were to be a bit more functional in our description of it, then it might not have the same ring.
It's interesting that you point that out, because one of the earlier incarnations for this, that we'd said between us we were going to only pick things that were BBC Two broadcastable. Not sure we've stuck to, but the thought was that my original one was going to be safe spaces for non-offending nonces. So
Yeah,
I've
similar vibe.
Yeah.
I've kind of picked up on that.
Yeah, double S, double P.
But what I like about it is that, you know, sometimes we can all be guilty of crimes of the mind.
Okay, expand on that. What do you mean a crime of the mind?
Well, anyone who's listened to this show has heard you utter any number of arrestable phrases.
Oh, I don't imagine that's true.
And
also, of course, remember, this is a comedy persona.
last episode, you used the word puscano.
In an accurate semantic trap that you laid for me to say that.
Oh, you're saying it was
I think, well, that's how I remember.
well, you are often outsmarted.
It's easily done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just shoehorn people into the category of criminals just for having deviant thoughts.
Okay.
And often one of the best ways to teach people that they are frankly disgusting is to allow them to keep talking, like Louis Theroux does. You know, he finds people who believe frankly morally unjustifiable things.
Okay.
Who hold beliefs
Like the Westboro Baptist Church picketing all those funerals.
Yes.
Okay.
And what he does is he doesn't go and shout at them and he doesn't throw them in prison.
He's not been triggered like you probably would be.
He just goes along and he stands there in silence and lets them keep talking until they contradict themselves and make themselves look like utter buffoons.
Yeah, he sort of haunts them like a ghost of a long owl.
Yeah,
until
or
they're so
he's
confused.
basically like a physical conscience that people feel the need to like rationalize and justify to. And so what I'm thinking is if we put a sign on the door and it's like, safe space for penitent perverts.
You kind of gestured to our door. You're not saying that's
to your bedroom door.
I can't be doing that.
It's fine. It's while you're out, so it's all right.
I will have to put a lot of plastic sheeting down.
We're already on the fifth meeting.
I'll have to remove Elmo from...
Oh, no, he's the most penitent of all. But in our previous meetings in there, it's all been very good. Nobody's really made a mess.
Okay.
Not in the physical sense. Anyway.
Right, that's fine, I guess. Then.
Spiritually, it's
all over the place.
Clusterfuck.
Raucous.
But what you find is they come in and you're like, so what are you sorry for? And they're like, just perversions.
I lick salt lamps. And you're like, okay, you lick salt lamps. That doesn't sound too bad. Like, is there any more to... Like, with my dick. There it is. You should have led with that bit. You should have said...
And you see, that single simple question is enough to just bring down all their defences, because it said safe space on the door. So they think that they're all right.
trapped them.
Yeah, exactly.
So really, this is like a child catcher trap for the child catchers.
Yeah, that's why I'm thankful for them. And then what happens is they come and they realise that they are disgusting.
Lollipops.
And what actually happens often is that they all realise that the others are disgusting.
It's like the Christs of Ypsilanti, that experiment where that doctor got like 8 different patients who all thought they were Jesus reincarnated to all chat to each other. And then the conclusion, he interviews them afterwards and they're all like, everyone else here is fucking nuts.
yeah, exactly. And then after a few sessions, they keep thinking that and they're like, wow, hang on, but they're all...
Do you think they think I'm nuts?
And I'm coming...
Surely not.
And I've oh my God, I'm a penitent pervert.
And that's when you sweep in with like a certificate
with the police.
Oh yeah, that one.
with the armed police.
Shamksgiving. Here I go. Penultimate one. Isaac BD. I'm not doing that one. Isaac BD.
Oh no.
am thankful for nobody, not even one person, bothering to attend our mutual friend's disastrous Halloween party.
Oh, that feels somewhat
mean, I guess.
Cruel. Yeah, it feels like a harsh thing to be thankful for.
That's what I think as well. Also, listeners don't have a lot of context for this, because although we recorded nearly 2 hours of content on it for the Patreon, we're yet to have put it out into the world for severe editing reasons. Every time I reopen that file, and look at the amount of work still to be done. Because if I miss a minute of it, normally I can just skip through and be like, yeah, haven't said anything bad, haven't sworn unduly. This one is career ending in its devastation. But on the flip side, I am glad that no one went to it, because otherwise that content wouldn't have been fostered
one
into
good
the world.
reason. Yeah,
it's one of many.
well, let's hear some of the others. If there's,
we did an episode many moons ago about what I think we ended up calling something very Goebbels-esque, like
social conditioning.
Social conditioning, yeah. And I think there's probably even longer terms suggested back in the day.
Some skeptics have called it bullying.
Yeah, now those people are, they're not
They
far
need
from the
social
truth,
conditioning.
but they're going to be conditioned in such a social way, they won't know what's hit them. What happened was, long and short of it, guys, there was a very unfortunate... We were going to keep this between us and the patrons, but it's fine that you want to get it out there in the world.
You could have done the other one.
On your head bit, whatever the results of this are. An event was made for a Halloween party a very long time in advance of Halloween, very far away from us, like an hour. A bit longer even, perhaps.
It'd be longer than an hour.
It invited almost everyone on the planet. Long and short of it is, no one said they were going, and the event was cancelled in very kind of tragic circumstances that moved even this cold heart. Today a child suggested that my nickname should be Icicle, and so...
Did you learn anything from that?
No, all I've taken is that even Icicle, BD, was moved to real feeling by this event. And that feeling was... in the context of this show, I'm so glad all of this happened. It's not tragic. It's not, a great misfortune that's befallen not only the person who hosted the event that failed so spectacularly, but society as a whole for allowing this to happen. I think these are all, again, good things. Thanks.
And you stand by that.
Yeah. Shamksgiving.
I've got one more.
Shall we do our next episode just called Very Sorry? And just detailed retractions of all of these.
Shampologies.
Nice. We could sell that.
We can finally get that hard P that you're looking to get.
Oh, God, I love that hard P.
Declan Delane, in the year
Get
of
the
our
middle
Lord...
name involved.
Declan Edward Delane.
Nice.
In the year of our Lord...
2018.
I'm thankful for the subreddit r/coming on figurines.
Coming on
figurines.
So is that like beckoning them on, like, oh, come on?
No, what it refers to is the act of, I believe, only men,
right?
Exclusively men,
okay,
who masturbate, and then ejaculate onto dolls.
Oh, okay. Now that's a novel concept for sure. It's not the kind of thing you see on breakfast television, for example. And so it concerns...
breakfast television being the most cowardly sort of television.
Absolutely. That's something we can agree on. I'd drink to that any day of the week. Talk to me about the thankful element. Why? What kind of fills you with that gratitude?
I'm really glad that you ask. I'm into it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm into it, and
into doing it, or into just
into watching.
But you don't get to watch it happen.
No, but I just like knowing that it has. It's the fact that you get to imagine that story for yourself,
because it is a narrative.
Why this doll?
Right.
Why now?
Give me, what sort of dolls do you see there?
It could be anything.
Right.
Anything from a little troll figurine. One of those full-sized Bratz dolls that girls do the little like hair and makeup of.
Okay, so that's like a kind of double crime.
Well, yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So and anything that lieth betwixt.
What about like an old Russian carving from like 1920s of maybe a saint?
Each one of the Matryoshka dolls.
Oh,
you can't just go on the outside.
It gets more criminal as you go.
Exactly.
So that's playing with.
Well, it depends which end you start at.
No one's starting smallest to largest, and then putting the small one in the large.
Well, yeah, you've got
to
keep it all in
the whole
there.
set.
Yeah.
Oh, you sicken me.
I I'm also thankful because,
Uh-huh.
as we said with the safe spaces for penitent perverts, and with
I think it's more you, but that's
the hair fur of the unkempt hair of the elderly,
Yeah.
is that it's a fantastic signifier that someone is an unpenitent pervert.
if they're going,
That they're an absolutely proud, balls to the dolls, sicko,
masturbating,
freak.
exhibitionist as well.
And it's one of those things where there will come a time when it's the year of our Lord, the last one,
Yeah.
and it's the end of days, and it's gonna make things a lot easier, because like some people are probably thinking, God, every single person that's ever lived
Has to be
is going to have to be
weighed, the good and the
individually
bad. Yeah.
judged. It's going to take because
The
you know
admin.
there's a lot of subjectivity, and you know some people are going to have to plead their case.
There's
Everyone's
a lot
going to
of
need
like,
a kind
philosophical,
of like
metaphysical inquiry. Required.
yeah, people are going to need heavenly lawyers and whatnot. It's
I'll
going to be
volunteering.
it's going to be a whole thing. But what our / coming on figurines does,
It's good to keep mentioning it so people know it's a real
r /
place.
coming on figurines. Yeah, is that
Don't check it out.
is that it really cuts through a lot of that bureaucracy and just is like, sorry lads,
If you've ever heard of this, you're
you
done.
posted, visited, thought about, mentioned several
Podcasted
times the subreddit r / coming on figurines,
And for that reason, said the angel Gabriel.
it's a real deal breaker.
Yeah,
it's
there's no
one of
coming back from
it's one of those reasons that they just pull that big lever and you fall from the heavens like Lucifer
Into the gnashing
himself
teeth.
down into hell.
Shamksgiving. Last but not least, I am just profoundly thankful for, perhaps for this one above all others, melancholy. Just the concept of it, just the very idea of it. Because from melancholy springs the kind of pensive artistic state that brought us some of the great coming on figurines-esque innovations.
Do you
of the
figure that
modern
they're
age.
motivated by melancholy?
Oh, for sure. There's something
A
big
real
missing
profound.
from those boys' lives in a very, very deep and essential
There
way.
is a tragedy that they definitely all think they're the Hamlet of their lives, don't they?
You think they like pick up the figurine like Yorick's
Hold it up. They knew the figurine so well.
before basting it with I don't even want to finish.
Don't.
It was horrid. Even
It's
the
only going to be
verb
another
upset me.
Pascano.
Plus, basting was a very kind of Thanksgiving verb, so it works on many, many levels. Melancholy is, if Inside Out taught us anything, they used the more simplified notion of sadness. I guess more simplified is unfair. It's more universal, more general. Melancholy is a facet of that. I would argue that sadness in the film really displays melancholy as her primary state, rather than like, she's not sad in the way of like, oh, I'm going to sit here and eat 5 cans of Ben & Jerry's, which comes in pots, so good luck. Whilst binging like Sex and the City to get over this person I've broken up with. It's not that kind of sadness.
It's not Bridget Jones sadness.
It's not screaming, oh, my boy, my son, when Cedric Diggory gets shot by Lord Voldy.
I like that you make it sound like lots of people shouted
God,
that when
people wouldn't stop.
McGonagall, Hagrid storming forward.
Peter Pettigrew
Firenze the
comes out of
centaur
rat form. Just
comes
to
back
have a
from
go.
having just killed him. Heads to Hogwarts just
Gets the
to
next
claim
portkey.
fathership.
Very weird scene, ahead of its time, for sure. Melancholy then is, as Pixar taught us, it's the yang to the yin of joy. And without it, what are we but baseless, spineless sunbeams flitting through the hall of mirrors of happy life?
Do you not feel that the distinction between melancholy and sadness that you allude to is
And so eloquently
perhaps
demonstrated.
well, yes,
Yeah.
perhaps sets it apart from sadness in that way of a useful tool, and actually just makes it a singularly depressing state of
Oh
being.
no! Thank you for asking. because it's a firm no, an unrepentant no.
You don't think
The
that
kind of no that I
actually
couldn't take
melancholy,
back even once.
melancholy perhaps leads to more depression and anguish in the world than could be made up for.
You're starting to sound a bit like a
Bob Dylan albums and
No.
pop psychology of Pixar film.
No. Need I say any more?
Oh, okay.
I think it speaks
and
for
when
itself.
I check on Sunday's episode, you'll stand by
Look,
this.
I'm always willing to have my mind changed, and if that were to happen between now and even the end of this very episode, so be it, if that's what the universe has in store. But for now, melancholy for King 2018. Shamksgiving. Oh, but wait a second. What's that rustling round? There's a secret compartment at the bottom of my cup. I'm opening it up.
I hate
Creaky
this.
it
I'd just
was.
like to say.
What's down there?
Is this your showroom?
Hello? Hello? It's echoing. It's like Mad Eye Moody down in all those crates.
While
and
Isaac
boxes.
does this, what I'm going to say is...
Let me dive in.
That whilst you may have recognised that the show thus far has been done with an air of, dare I say it, insincerity, there is a stark contrast for the final part of the feature in which we couldn't be more sincere if we tried.
Grab my hand.
There's no saving you from where you are.
And I'm back. Oh, it was dark down there. There was sludge in every place you'd care to mention, and some more. But I retrieved from the... Who knew that these cups had a false bottom?
You've had them for ages.
And no one ever told me to dive right down into the murky depths of Pink Cup. Horrible phrase, and I'm sorry for ever sharing it. I found one more piece of paper, and sure, it's covered in detritus, and it doesn't look like anyone's bothered to read it or even pay it any attention or mind for decades at least. But I'm going to try and make it out now in the light of Thanksgiving. Maybe if we come together with our cups, joined in a kind of matrimony, a kind of cuptrimony, and we give one more Shamksgiving, maybe the light will shine upon this in a way that means we can read the ultimate thanks of the season.
It's Gollywonks.
It's not. That's the one I wouldn't read. It's clear as day. It says no, it's an L. Listeners. Well, I don't know what it could mean. I'm tearing it up. Anyway, this has been one hell of an episode.
No, we are thankful for the listeners. I just did
Of the show,
while you were in the sludge.
Yeah.
I did a little thing about how the rest of the show they might have picked up on was a little bit insincere.
I actually was here, so I did hear it because that was just acting that I was doing. I didn't need to check.
Okay, sorry, yeah. So
I know it was very believable.
but then I said that this bit would be more sincere, so we should probably just try and. Are you on board?
I'm moving into a sincere mode.
Okay,
and a sincere pose.
While Isaac swaps his face and does a weird sort of Bruce Forsyth pose, we are very thankful for the listenership.
Yes.
What remains of it,
Especially after this great big travesty.
we are thankful not only for your presence but for your involvement.
That was with a CE, but if you want to change it to a TS, contact me. I'll give you our address.
We are thankful for the fact that thus far, as you know, to our knowledge, none of you have reported us to any authority.
That's really good because it's actually the longest either of us have gone.
Yeah,
without a call from the old Bill.
And if we're going to be perfectly honest, there's a fair amount of ammunition.
Oh well, for some of us more than others, for sure.
Well, you're fucked.
Yeah, well, I could say the same.
Oh no!
What was it before? 4 is the new 17. You said, okay, good. That's just good to have on record. But yeah, in this, Thanksgiving, it means at once so much to us, and probably more accurately, absolutely nothing, because we're not American, are we?
Nope.
We don't care for the holiday. We kind of actively despise it for giving us the Black Friday concept that is taking hold of everyone's lives and ruining them slowly as it churns us into more capitalist mulch. However, we thought we'd take this opportunity to reflect on what we're thankful for, and it's none of those 10 things that we've just said.
Definitely not.
Especially not all those horrid things you made me say about Dick Van Dyke. He'll probably die tomorrow.
The thing is that I didn't even
You said he
mention
was
Dick Van
unlovable.
Dyke. No, I said Bert, the character was.
As if he's separable.
You were the one who decided, apropos of nothing, to say that Dick Van Dyke was a pedo.
Well, look, the record will show differently, I'm sure. I'm really hoping for that to be the case. But outside of those things, look, maybe other shows, more traditional shows, more sincere shows, better shows, would do a real kind of heartfelt, interrogative, self-reflectionary episode about what there really is for us to be thankful for.
What we're going to do is some plugs.
And what we've done so far is kind of a farce, but we want to end on a real note of sincere gratitude for sticking with us for all this time, whether it's your first episode and indeed your last, or you've been here since the beginning. Thanks for all you've done, and thanks for being in our lives. It keeps us going.
Part of the Shame City.
Yeah. Shamksgiving.
Now, if you'd like to get involved in the chat, if you have anything that you'd like to say, if you'd like to apologise before sending this episode on to the police, then you can get in touch in a new and novel way. We're bringing Shame City into the 22nd century
we were there
with the Discord.
Yeah.
Shame.city/Discord.
Discord?
That's a horrible idea.
A Discord, yeah.
Shame.city/Discord.
Go on, what's that?
Discord, it's only an app where we have a little chat room.
A chat platform.
And
It's a chat server,
you can post images now, even me.
We've got file sharing. Even Declan now. We've got different rooms for different things. We've got voice chat we could set up.
We've got a channel solely for posting the YouTube links to our episodes.
We could share our screens if we wanted.
Wow!
We could all organise a game night or all sit down and watch a film together.
We haven't even made use of the audio yet.
These are all things that we
will.
can do.
And it's actually, as we mentioned last time, it's been sort of thriving in a way that I didn't expect it to be.
It's nice. It's not like you don't feel obliged to always be there and like pumping out content, but it's always there if you want just to share something, get some feedback. We recommended some videos, some articles. It's all going back and forth. Professor Matt shared an article that's an actual like academic paper
that he wrote,
keeping it very highbrow. Over at the Shame City Discord. So do get involved. What was the URL again there, Declan?
Shame.city/Discord.
That makes sense. That's a logical
If you
URL.
already have the Discord app, it'll just open it up in there for
Easy
you.
as pie. And if you don't, do I have to download anything? Because I'm old and crusted.
You can if you want, but if not, there is a website for it.
Thank fuck for that.
As always, you can email tass@shame.city or via the website shame.city/contact. You can find the show on Twitter @That's a Shamecast. You can find Isaac @IsaacBD, and you can find myself @DE Delane.
Why wouldn't you?
You can leave us a 5-star glowing review that mentions
nice.
nothing we spoke of today.
That's between you and the grave.
Shame.city/review or shame.city/reviews.
And when better than Thanksgiving week, if you're even an iota thankful for even a second of the show, maybe you laughed once in 120 episodes, you giggled on the bus and someone looked at you like you were mental, which still happens even though, and I really resent it, because everyone knows that podcasts or just listening to something funny is a thing. But if you ever laugh on the tube at something you're just listening to, people look at you like you're an absolute leper.
It's a freak. You've broken the rules.
It's really horrid, and I think we should start breaking through that stigma. But even if you have laughed just the once, chuck us a review. It's a great way to say thanks.
We're also in the middle of, I won't say a campaign, but we're going to say an apathetic attempt to gain one more patron by the end of the year. We have a lovely set of patrons.
We're big fans.
We've got some extra content coming out as soon as we can face the editing process together.
And there's more every month. There's content every month. More on its way.
Shame.city/Patreon.
Well, I don't think it is it? Isn't it patreon.com/shamecity?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you can get there by that.
Yeah, maybe you can. Why not test that out? That can be a little fun for you.
As Isaac says, alternatively, patreon.com/shamecity.
And is that expensive? Is it? Am I going to have loads of money?
No. You know how 50p?
Yeah.
Right? How that's not very much.
Well, it is a lot to some people. That's a week's wages to you.
But 50 cents is even less than that. Just about.
And 25 even less.
And 25 is even less than that. And from just that tiny little amount per episode, you can continue to get new content.
Yeah. You get some bonus shit. You get a special pink role on the Discord that will make you... It's task pink. You'll look hot as hell. And you'll be the envy of the whole village.
And if you've got a little more to share, then we'll even send you something.
There's no upper limit on generosity. And you don't even need to thank us for that, because that's just life. That's about it, isn't it?
You can wommy bomb.
Oh, tell a friend about the show, why don't you?
Word of mouth is best of mouth.
At this time of gratitude remains the best of mouth. Until episode 121, when Thanksgiving will have passed.
Yep.
And all of those opinions that we've pretended to have today will be fully forgotten, dead,
vanished,
and buried, apart from all that geography stuff, which I think was true.
Okay.
I've been Isaac. You've been...
I've been Declan.
Happy Shamksgiving.
Bye, guys.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Necessities, the bare necessities, the bare necessities of life will come to you.